What's the deal? Welcome back to The Discussion, y'all favorite podcast about your favorite growing techniques. This your boy, Mr. GoodBuds. What we going to talk about today is my complete harvest method. And that means my complete harvest, most of y'all favorite video is the harvest, in which I always talk about the harvest, the dry, the cure, and the yield. So minus the yield, today we're going to be talking about exactly what I do. And before we get started, just a quick words from Mars Hydro. What's the deal? This your boy, Mr. GoodBuds, letting y'all know to make sure that y'all go holler at Mars Hydro, man, for all y'all grow needs. They have the greatest bar style lights. They have quantum board style lights. And they have all new size tents that you can get a 5x5 in a regular size room, man. They have everything you need to get your growing setup going, including inline fans and lots of other things to get your setup perfect in the way you need. Make sure you go over, for me right now, make sure y'all stop going to Amazon and y'all start using the Mars Hydro store. And then make sure y'all type in the code GoodBuds, man. Mars Hydro has a beautiful store where everything is very available for everybody. And the links are in the description down below. So make sure y'all go there, use the code GoodBuds, and get your growth started off right, man. On me. So let's get started. Now, let me first say that this is supposed to be, y'all supposed to be able to talk to me. Hold on, let me grab my chapstick. Y'all supposed to be able to talk to me during this podcast, and I haven't been able to quite figure out the whole the voice part of it. But y'all can still chat me right here. Like, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna let y'all know when they gonna come up with when I'm doing it. So y'all can at least get on there. And I have to at least figure out how y'all can hear it. I may turn the mic on and make it, see if Discord makes it so that y'all can hear it or something, so that y'all can still hear it, and then and type to me right now. And then I'll still get it in real time or something like that, because I haven't been able to figure out exactly what people's problem is, because it worked fine for me. And when I tried it with other people, so maybe it's just too complicated for some. It is a little complicated. So maybe just to make it easier, I'm gonna make it so that y'all can just type, and maybe y'all just be able to hear me. So look in the future for future episodes where I'm gonna be doing that. But let's get straight into it. So harvest. So this is probably for me one of the most important things with your entire grow process, because this can completely fuck up your entire crop, which I always talk about, which I've done a lot myself. So a lot of people want to know exactly what to do to basically seal the deal on that grow, that wonderful grow that you had, not to destroy it in the blink of an eye, because that shit happens really fast, and it ain't no coming back from that shit. That hay smell, over drying, things like that, it really ain't no coming back from it. So to help mitigate that, we're gonna talk about exactly what I like to do, and I've kind of tried to narrow it down to make it as easy as possible for me, which may help make it easy for a lot of others, and still get great results. So number one, we're gonna start off with the 48 hours of darkness, the mythical 48 hours of darkness. I do the 48 hours of darkness. Now the theory is that you're gonna get more terpenes and more trichome coverage by leaving the lights off. Now there's a few good reasons of why that could be, and there have been studies done that say that it doesn't do shit, and studies say that it does minimum to nothing. But for me, if all I gotta do is turn the light off and then wait a couple extra days before it's time to harvest, was even better for me. It doesn't really hurt. And the thing behind it is that these plants are these things, they do adapt very fast. And UV light is harmful to pretty much anything. Anything on this planet, UV light is harmful to, except for me, of course. But a lot of stuff UV light is harmful to, and just like any other thing, I'm sure it's harmful to plants as well. And another thing, everything heals when it's asleep. So when you're asleep, you heal. When anything is asleep, it heals. It goes through a healing process. I can only imagine that if UV lights are, and another thing, before I even say this, the terpenes and the trichomes and the trichome heads, they do help protect that plant from UV rays. That's proven. And so the theory behind all that put together is that while your plant is asleep, it's going to replenish more terpenes, and the terpenes that's been evaporated is going to continue to put on weight because of the lower night cycle and the lower time of night cycle, which is minimum for me for real. But the longer period of night is going to cause it to put on more. But some people say that. But the fact that that plant has to heal after having some of its trichomes evaporated, burned off, is going to want to heal with the lights off. And so the best thing for me, I feel like to do, is at the end of the cycle, after it's been taking all that light all the time, is go ahead and, while it's still alive, turn the lights off so it's not being hurt by no heat, no UV, or anything, and allow it to kind of recuperate before I kill it. So that's my idea behind it and why I do it. And I'm going to continue to do it. And yes, I have not done it. I've not done 48 hours of darkness and not really noticed anything. But like I said, in the end, it really doesn't take any effort. And for even a minimal game, and if I got $100 and all I gotta do is take one step, and they say I'm gonna get 5 cents like a video game, I'm gonna take the step. So even if it's minimum, it's still a minimum game for no effort for me. So that's it. So after the 48-hour dry, after the 48 hours of darkness, next comes the hang dry. So we hang dry these plants, and I like to hang dry them at 55 RH, 55 relative humidity. And I don't really manage the heat in there in the drying room is purposely, but it stays around 70 to 80ish, which is probably too high. You want it a little lower than that. It'd be even better, again, for less evaporation. But pretty much that works for me. So if you get it even lower than that, then that would be even better for you. And we like to drive very, very slow. Now, I've learned this very recently. The longer, and everybody says this, but it's not as easy done as said. And the longer the dry period, the better. But for you to achieve that, you have to maintain the RS, and that means not losing it ever and maintaining it at that level of RH for as long a period of time as possible. Maintaining the RH for 12 hours and then it loses all its RH in the drying area, and then having to bring it back up is going to still cause your yield to dry a lot faster still. So you have to maintain the RH. And that's how you're going to get a 13-day dry period, which is the best of the best, I found. The longer the dry period is that it stayed maintained, the better. And the way that I tell when it's done, I don't do no cracking the stems. I don't do any of the breaking stems, listen for the snap. I tried those things. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, by the time the stem snapped or made that sound, we was over dry. Every single time I did that shit, we was over dry. And I mean, come on, man. We know when it's ready, man. We know at the end of the dry period, it should feel normal. You know what I'm saying? I gotta watch what I'm saying, and I hope I ain't say charcoal and terpenes too many fucking times. But if we know how it feel, we know what we like, and because we be doing that shit. So that's when it gets to the end of that dry, it's gonna get as close to that is what you looking for, and when you feel it, you know when it's there. And that's what I go off of. It still should be a little squishy on the inside, but dry on the outside. Now, one thing that I do, especially now that we're going to get into dry trimming, the next thing, because that's pretty much it. After the dry, we go into dry trimming. I don't do a wet trim. I do a dry trim. Now, why? Because wet trimming looks ugly as hell. I've never done it. It looks harder. And dry trimming looks more manicured, and it makes more sense. It's easier to get the leaves off after it's dry. They pretty much break off, which brings me to what I was about to say, the trim bag. So I got the trim bag. So at the end of the drying period, if you don't have a trim bag, then this is not that serious. But I found with the trim bag, and somebody else recommended this to me, is that when the outside of your product is, the more dry it is on the outside, the better. And you don't want to over dry. So the way that you're going to remedy that is, on the last day before I'm ready to dry trim, at the end of the dry, I turn the humidity off and I leave the fans on, and that causes the outside to dry out a lot faster. It's kind of like searing a steak. You know what I'm saying? You let the outside dry real fast When you turn off that humidity and just let the fan just keep hitting it, those outside leaves are gonna get a lot crispy, and the inside is still gonna retain that moisture. And then I go into the dry trim bag. Now, whether you got a dry trim bag or not, it's dry trimming. That's what I do next. Now, before having the bag, the way I like to dry trim is I would take, and it took me a while to learn this too. It's dry trimming is probably the longest and most excruciating and tedious task there is when it comes to what we're doing. And I hate that shit. And which is why I love the trim bag so much. I'm telling y'all right now, that shit works. Y'all gonna see it in the breeders booth. I'm tired of holding that shit back. I've been trying not to tell y'all niggas, but that shit actually worked. I'm gonna show y'all, and y'all know I ain't gonna bullshit y'all. I ain't gonna play games. I don't think the shit work. I'm gonna tell you the truth. And it worked, baby. It works. And it actually worked better than trimming it with my hands. I ain't gonna hold you up. But it took me a long time to figure out what was the best organization for trimming, for dry trimming in the first place. And I found the best way to do it is to take everything off the stems, fill it all up in your trim bin, and then go one, you know what I'm talking about, one of them at a time, trim and jar. Or not even jar. Put it to the side, trim. But it's just like how you use the trim bin. I mean, it's just like how you use the trim bag. You cut off, instead of trimming, obviously, I'm tripping. You cut all the stuff off into the bag, and then that's it. That's all you do. So you're basically doing the same thing without the bag. You cut everything off the branches into a pile, and then you do the manual work yourself. Now, if you got the bag, that all goes into the bag, and you know how the bag is a friction method, which is why you need the outside to be drier, and the inside still being moist is going to really give you a excellent trim. I'm not playing with y'all, dog. That has made my job and my life so much easier. I've only used it once. I've only used it for one harvest, and y'all about to see it soon. But it was the best thing I've done, and my favorite harvest, my best grow. It wasn't the best grow because of the trim bag, but I mean, that whole grow was a breeze, and adding the trim bag to it just really just made me feel special, and I really dialed in my technique. So pretty much that's it with the dry trimming. Now the next thing is curing. Now, curing, this is what I want to say about curing. I strictly only use jars. And I'm telling y'all, nothing is gonna retain that product like the jars do. And a bag, turkey bag, plastic bag, Good Sense bag, all those bags, 159 bags, all those bags that we use, you know what I'm saying, growing up, those bags do not retain the moisture. And after a week or so inside of those bags, I mean, you got dust. And I don't know about you, but it's something special about the freshness and the moistness. Man, it's like Pillsbury fucking baking. Boy, that shit come out so soft, and it's just like, when you break it down, it's perfect. And I don't like when I break my shit down and it turns to dust. I don't like that shit. And so for me, the jars maintain the humidity the perfect way that I want, without humidity packs or any of that. Because y'all know I used to use humidity packs, which is something good to mention in this. I don't use them shits no more. They not really necessary. I ain't gonna hold you up. And it leaves this weird ass smell. I told you it's like a saline salt type smell. Like, it leaves that smell. It's very faint, but it definitely leaves that smell behind, and I don't like it. And so strictly jars for the curing. Now, when I burp every day for the first 2 weeks. And when I burp, I like a long burp. I like to let the jar sit over for about 30 minutes. I found an increase in terpene profile from longer burps. I've literally burped for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it was cool is what I was doing. But the few times, then this is how it happened. It always happened from, you know what I'm saying, stoner's mind. We forget shit. And I then left this shit open. I didn't left it open for an hour. But I done went downstairs and came back up, and it's something dank as fuck. It's something smelling real good, and I'm like, it's like the longer burp allows. It's those gases. See, when you burping, you're allowing the chloroform to escape, and when you got jars, it takes time for that stuff to escape. And once it escapes, it's almost like it escapes, and after that, after the gases of that chlorophyll is out, then terpene gases start coming out behind it. And that's what it's doing. It's just like, no, I ain't gonna say it. That's disgusting. I be thinking some crazy shit. I ain't gonna say that shit. But y'all can probably figure out what the fuck I was thinking. But you know what I'm saying? It's like when them gases finally get out, and then the real shit start coming. I'm a silly ass nigga, bro. But yeah, now, and I only do it for 2 weeks. Now, burping for 2 weeks, I found after that, it's ready to go. It's ready to consume. Now, you know me, I consume it right off the dribble. Like, as soon as it get out the dry room, for me, I consume it. But for a lot of connoisseurs and whatever you call it, they're not gonna want to touch it. And I feel like that perfect time for when it don't got that fresh taste. It is that freshness taste. No matter how good it is, it do got that fresh taste when it first come off the branch. And it take about 2 weeks to get rid of that fresh taste. And that freshness taste is that chlorophyll. So 2 weeks. Now after that, do I continue burping? No, I don't. I don't burp it at all no more. I don't even care no more. But I be consuming the shit. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's good enough. And trust me, the jars is getting open. They getting open multiple times a day. So it's really no need for burping after that, because it's going, and it's going fast. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for curing. And so a lot of y'all gonna wonder if I'm gonna talk about it. Of course I am, cause I done coined that shit, boy. Vacuum sealing. Now, if needed, I've recently found out that all that shit is not created equal, and all your product don't need it, for real. My Veg Booth, it didn't need it. I'm going to be doing an experiment, dropping next month, to see the best way to vacuum seal, and that's going regular vacuum seal. We're gonna have a control, which is not vacuum sealed at all. Of course, this video is not gonna be monetized, because we gonna, you know what I'm saying. But we're gonna have one that's not vacuum sealed. We're gonna test it. We're gonna have one that's vacuum sealed, completely airtight. We're gonna test that one. We're gonna have one that's vacuum sealed and not take all the air out, and then we're gonna have the jar vacuum sealed. So I already got the jar, so we're gonna be doing that. Just because I found that when the product was really, really good, all I did was ruin the look. I mean, it did, and I say it smelled a little bit better, but a lot of people, and I already figured this anyway, but I didn't really care, that a lot of people say that you just disturbing the buzz when you vacuum seal, and then it reabsorbs, and that's what gives you a stronger smell. And even with that, it wasn't that big of a difference, and I felt like the loss in the look was a bigger loss, was a bigger kind than the small pro of the small gain in smell. Now, if your shit need it, which I've had a lot of stuff that be real fluffy, and the smell don't be that great, we vacuum sealing. So when we vacuum seal, we go from we still let the product cure for 1 week. After you done curing that for 1 week in the jars, then we go into the vacuum seal, and I do got the Mylar aluminum vacuum seal that's better for not snatching off all the trichomes, but it still does it a little bit. But use that as preferred. It does need a hotter vacuum sealer, but try to use that. But after 1 week in the jar, go into the vacuum seal, and the vacuum seal process only lasts for 1 week. I have tried already vacuum seal product for more than 1 week, and I don't know why, but the terpene profile was profoundly less. The smell went down a lot, and it was very, very noticeable. Very noticeable that it lost a lot of smell. Now, I don't know as far as when people are storing for storage reasons, and they let it go for a long time. I don't know if it smell would have came back after a long enough time. I don't know what they're doing in dispensaries. But when I experimented with it, with the OG Kush, now stop playing now, with the OG Kush, it was reduced tremendously, profoundly. So I do not recommend doing it for more than a week. After that week, go back to the jars and continue that second week burping like normal. And if you choose so, I haven't thought about this until just now recording this video, but if you choose so, you can burp for an extra week because you didn't burp for an entire week in the vacuum seal. Give it a shot and let me know. I haven't done that. I just burped for that. Like I said, after that, I'm always opening the jar anyway, so it don't really matter for me. Now, if you the type that's not consuming as much as me, because I'm telling you, I go crazier than Wiz Khalifa, boy. I go crazier than Snoop Dogg. I blows like a chimney all day, 24/7. I'm telling you, them niggas ain't got shit on me. So if you done blowing like me, then you probably might want to go ahead and get the extra burping in. But my shit don't even last long enough. That shit be gone, boy. But that's it, man. So that's my entire process for high harvest. And what I do and what's been most successful for me, including the harvest coming up, Breeders' Booth, which is my best harvest yet. And I'm gonna title that in the title of that video. And we're gonna do I'm gonna start doing, I noticed that y'all liked the from seed to smoke, like the entire process video. The one time I did it is like my best video. So I was gonna do it. I had to decide whether I was gonna do it for the Breeders' Booth, but I probably just do it for all. I have to, right? Because it's the best harvest of all time. So why not commemorate it by doing a seed to smoke? You feel me? But appreciate y'all, man, for joining. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Y'all holler at the gram. Make sure y'all hit that like and that notification bell and everything y'all can do. Hit all the links in the description, boy. And make sure y'all holler at Mars Hydro and the links in the description at their store. And holler at Herbie Seed Shop and get the best seeds. They got all the seed strains, everything y'all need, boy. Shit. And that's it, man. We out.